So my guest today is the one and only Nissim Baruch Black, born Damian Jamohl Black, an American-Israeli rapper, producer from Seattle, Washington, and now Jerusalem, Israel. Nissim, what a pleasure it is to see you. How are you, brother?
Baruch Hashem, I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to see that you're well. I know that you unfortunately suffered from corona, as did I, and you were in the hospital, and I think quite unwell. How are you feeling now? And how did that? Tell me a little bit about that whole experience briefly.
Man, I feel great now, but every once in a while I do have like new things, I call them, that I don't remember ever happening before. Yeah, it was a very, very tough experience. So they came, gave me oxygen, and they just took me, and it was like, you have to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital where I received oxygen. I was there, and the disease, pretty much, that's how I fought it. It was one day it was better, one day it was like, oh my goodness, what's gonna happen?
I'm
So
just
I
so
was
glad.
going back
I'm
and
so
forth.
glad to see that you're well.
Yeah.
With your permission, Nissim, I'd like to just share with our audience this 2-minute clip that gives them a little bit insight into who you are.
Well, my name is Nissim Black, and from Seattle, Washington, and we're here in Jerusalem, the holy city. I grew up exposed to a lot of violence, a lot of drug abuse, and gangs, and rapping about money and girls and violence and different things like that. I did a lot of big concerts, South by Southwest, and I was in CMJs. And
it's my hope that I know you, my desire that I show you, gratitude that I owe you.
It became a situation where it was either my life or the other person's life, and where either I had to go and kill or be killed. And in that moment, all of a sudden, I just started praying, and I just started calling out to God. And I remember on the third day, I got a call from the other guy, and he also wanted to settle everything. And after we settled everything, and we got past it, I kept praying. And every day, I would talk to God more and more and more and more. I mean, I got to a place where I felt so confused. And I was praying one time, and I said to God, I said, listen, I'm going to start over. You and I are going to start over.
Wake up, my friend, we gone. We praising Hashem with all of our soul. The Clipper is fighting, we know. We raging a war, we won't let him go.
Today, I make music that obviously is much more spiritually driven, more religious driven, because that's who I am as a person. So I've even seen, very ultra-Orthodox Haredi people, even in Beit Shemesh, listening to my music as I'm walking past the store.
We are the light we shine on. It's a delight we cry on.
I went on this magical love affair with God, and that led me to the Jewish people. I was able to describe it and to talk about, what it felt like to come from such a distant place, and to know that God brought me to this place right now, and what gratitude I own for being able to save my life in the way that He did.
Nissim, you have the most incredible story. It's just unbelievable. What made you actually go ahead and convert to Judaism?
There was many things, but I got into a dark place in my life, really, that I had obviously had some at least awareness of religion, of God. I was a Muslim as a kid, and then converted to Christianity when I was like 14 years old. I got very, very involved in Christianity as a junior missionary and different things like that. So I had already some type of like awareness that there was God. And so when I got into that dark place, it pushed me to wanting to know more. I got into altercation with another artist, another rapper, that led me to a kill or be killed situation, where it's really, facing possibly taking my life or having my life taken as someone else's. And after that was out of the way, my natural thing was to turn back and say, how did I get here? How did I get to such a dark place? And so I just started searching, initially going back, opening up the Bible, and then I started going deeper and deeper and started asking more questions like why, how, and where. And, when I got everything, I got a Quran, a few Christian Bibles, Chumash, JPS Tanakh, and I'm going through everything. And, at the bottom of both Christianity and Islam, I found Judaism. And so I'm one that has an authentic, a craving for authenticity. So I like to go back to the source as much as I can. And so Judaism just really stuck out to me.
Unbelievable story. I mean, now we're some years on and you're already, you know, a well-established Jew. Do you ever look back and think to yourself, why did I do this? Do you ever have kind of regrets? And I guess in terms of integration into the Jewish world, which is a very different world to the world which you grew up in, are there a lot of struggles along the way, particularly for your children integrating? Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, there's definitely been some struggles. I'll tell you like this. I did have some struggles. Obviously, here in Israel is much tougher. The school system was, I wouldn't say Israel, but for sure, specifically in Yerushalayim, is very tough for us. And integrating is, you know, already being an immigrant, it's already hard. So being an immigrant that also looks different than everybody else and may have a different occupation than everybody else also too, doesn't always make it easier. So we definitely have had our challenges. I would definitely say that the love overshadows and outweighs any of the challenges that we have, right? I've also never known what chesed and what true love was, and you know, those type of things I've never also ever experienced. You know what I mean?
Sure.
As much as I never experienced maybe some of the discrimination and other things that I've experienced because I grew up predominantly around people that look like me, thought like me, and whatever else. But at the same time, the love I would just definitely say has been overwhelming. And that's before I became Mr. Nissim Black. You know what I mean? So definitely has had its challenges.
Could you tell us a little bit about your family, your wife, your kids, a little bit about them?
I have 6 children, thank God, and I'm married. Me and my wife have been together since we were 17, so we went through the whole entire journey together. And she's really the backbone. My wife is like, you know, trying to catch up with her pretty much. I mean,
Amazing.
And Baruch Hashem, all of my kids, my daughter had a bat mitzvah this year, my eldest child. So, you know, kids are enjoying it here in Israel. And Baruch Hashem, we found what we wanted to be, what we needed to be. And the kids are doing very well here, and good schools and everything like that.
Big thing. Are you in touch with your family at all?
Yes, yeah. There was a Israeli television company that took me back to took me back from Israel to America, and then prior to that, I hadn't really seen or made that much of a connection with my family in like 7 or 8 years. So that was very beautiful, and it really reunited us because now I've been in touch with them ever since, and it's been a beautiful experience to see just the inspiration and different things like that. I've been able to give long distance. They were watching and seeing everything take place. So it was a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Let's talk a little bit about your career. So you definitely do not have a conventional career. You're a rapper. And what does that involve? What's your day job? You get out in the morning and you go to work. What do you do? Give us a little bit of an insight in 30 seconds of what it means to be a rapper.
Outside of the learning, listen, I don't live the typical rap life. You know what I'm saying? We got to learn. We got to dive in. I'm a breast lover. I also got his both of this to do. I got a lot of stuff on the schedule, you know. So, and I have, you know, children, you know, and a wife. So it's very interesting because you know, now working, I had to make a setup here. I'm actually in my studio, which was my like room for just devotion to Tefillah. But right before Corona, when they shut everything down, I had to put the studio inside. But generally, I'm running back and forth from here to Yerushalayim to the studio. You know, spending hours over there recording songs and coming back and then doing either interviews or doing concerts. I traveled a lot while I was here, so I'd have to.
Where do you live? Whereabouts in Israel do you live?
I live in Beit Shemesh, from my Beit Shemesh now.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, in Gimel. So, you know, generally it involves a lot of, when it's not Corona, it involves a lot of traveling. When it's Corona, it involves a lot of Zoom. So, you know, a lot of records and recording, and thank God, and writing. So
tell me something in terms of rapping itself, like the whole rapping industry and the lyrics and the whole kind of setup. Many would say it kind of glorifies the wrong things in life.
For sure.
But putting Jewish words into all of that, does that solve all those issues? How do you kind of reconcile a Hasidic Breslov Jew with a black rapper? It's kind of two real different worlds. How do you put them together so beautifully? Because
it's a kli. You know what I'm saying? It depends on what your approach to it is. It depends on what music is to the person. So to me, I look at it as a kli. At one point, music was my whole life, right? And I felt like it was just an inseparable part for me. My mother was a rapper. My father was a rapper. All my uncles and my grandfather played every instrument you could think of. I grew up very like surrounded around music, right? So I had a different relationship to it. at one point. But definitely now, I've been able to, after having some separation from it, because I did have a different type of relationship, having some separation from music and then coming back to it, sort of like this is a Kli, and really hip hop for sure is the most powerful one that we have in the world right now. You know what I'm saying? Nothing moves without this genre. So do you mean to tell me there's some place in this world that Hashem's name shouldn't be praised at and his name shouldn't go out and be glorified by it? Absolutely not. It has to be everywhere.
Can you teach me some rapping? I want to become one of your groupies. Teach me, or maybe a rap about me, perhaps.
I have to work on that one. Sorry, wasn't prepared for that one.
So Nissim, I want to play you my rap, okay? I've got a rap for you. I just need a bit of beatboxing in the background. Can you do that for me?
I could try. I don't know what the delay's going to be. Okay. This is Rabbi G, 1, 2, 3, with my main man, Big Nissim B. From Johnswood Synagogue, Shul in the Woods, we have Nissim Black in the hood. A story of inspiration and light. Nissim has certainly fighting the good fight. May Hashem bless him and all of his clan. Across the Jewish world, we are your #1 fans. How was that? That was something special, very, very special. Listen, if you ever need a British rabbi in your band, you know where to find me. Exactly. I make sure to come look you up. Rabbi G, 1, 2, 3. You know, you have to teach me some of your tricks, because I've watched some of your music videos, and they are awesome. And you're off to a good start.
When I put the trailer out for this series, I had teenagers in my community texting me, "You're meeting Nissim Black? How are you going to do that? What's that going to be like?" You're a bit of an icon, especially to the younger generation. My next question, taking a little bit more serious now. I want to talk with you a little bit about anti-Semitism and racism, because, you know, many Jews experience anti-Semitism and many Black people, unfortunately, experience racism. It's a reality of the world. Now, you're somebody who was born Black, obviously, and has become Jewish. How has racism and anti-Semitism played a part in your life? And perhaps also in 2020, the whole Black Lives Matters campaign has become really a world global issue. Tell me a little bit about your perspective on that subject.
You know, it's very interesting because being both, like you said, Black and also being Jewish, and I think this speaks for me demographically, right, where I come from. I feel like I have definitely experienced more anti-Semitism than I have racism in my life. I'm just being honest. You know what I mean? That's just a person that has been able to live in both worlds, and telling you from my lenses of what I've seen personally. I definitely feel like I've experienced more anti-Semitism.
Can you tell us specifically how? Like, how did that manifest?
You know, I mean, a lot of it even I get from other people in the African American community. You know what I mean? Outside, not specifically from my hometown, but like, you know, when I go back east and different things like that, I feel the heat of that. That feud of people, you know, saying, you know, things to me, saying I'm a sellout, the Hebrew Israelite group specifically, other people like that. So I definitely have had way more. I've had eggs thrown at me from, you know, Muslim kids, even in Seattle, because I was out in the forest doing his brothers talking to Hashem, you know. So like, I definitely have experienced that in a way to where I haven't really experienced that with in terms of racism. Not to say racism doesn't exist and that it's not experienced, because it for sure is experienced by people. To what magnitude, or if I think that is the main problem in the Black community, I don't think it is. I don't think that that's the main thing. So I feel like, you know, I think as important as it is to understand the Black lives matters, but like that really goes without being said. Everybody already knows Black Lives Matter. So I'm really I really can't be an advocate so much for that movement, but I definitely can be an advocate for treating all people fairly, you know what I'm saying, and equally. So that's sort of my take on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting thing in terms of, just as a Jew, how important it is to look out for the stranger, the convert, any minority group. It's so important to try and treat everyone fairly. And I think one of the challenges that the African American community faced as well is role models. Role models for, you know, father figures. That's been a challenge. You are clearly a role model to so many people. And that's a big responsibility. You have tens of thousands of followers on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all these type of websites. How do you kind of take that responsibility when you post a music video? People are going to listen, and that must be a huge kind of achrayus and responsibility for you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And it was one that, to be honest, I was running from that responsibility for like 2 years. I didn't really want to go focus on anything outside of the Jewish world. I just wanted to stick with, you know, the Bachum and, you know, sort of like keep myself in this little space. And I just sort of started to feel like I was being pushed and being led outside of that by different personal experiences I was having, different conversations I was having with other rabbis or people that I've grown close to tell me that, listen, I think your tafkid, your purpose in life is much bigger than what you're trying to make it be. And I started to think, you know, one time I was out and I started thinking, like, when I was that young kid, I was very limited in positive Black male role models that I can look up to and be like, you know, I was looking up to rappers and sports players and things like that. And, you know what I'm saying? They were in the news every other week for something else. So it definitely made me feel like this is something that I really had to step up and do. You know what I mean? No matter what it may be or what it may mean, I definitely feel like this is my God-given thing. And so once you feel like this is your purpose in life, it's much easier to go and run at it full speed, as opposed to like really just thinking like, I'm doing this because it's a good thing to do. It's like, no, it's my thing to do.
Absolutely. You know, we talk about aspirations. This series is looking at fascinating Jews from fascinating career backgrounds. What are your career aspirations? Where do you want to be in 10, 20 years from now? And please, God, when you look back on your life, what do you want to be remembered for?
Well, 20 years from now, I hope that me making music would just be for hobby's sake. That they will also I won't have to be making music. But not to say that I have to now, but I'm just saying in terms of it, you know, I would like to separate that. I think at the end of it, I don't really make so many goals except for the fact that, like, at the end of everything, I want to be able to say I helped out a lot of people. You know what I mean? In every aspect of entertainment I lived, I was acting and, you know, and drama, everything. So I really want to be able to, you know, like you just said, be able to be a positive role model. And for other things, in one level, like we just talking about the Black community, you see a positive black male who is living a different life. You know, people think I'm just not cursing inside my songs. I haven't cursed off of a song in over 12 years. So already when it comes to just speaking in language and the way that I carry myself, that's already something different and maybe a chiddush or something new for the Black community. Also in the Jewish community, people are also too, especially more in the religious community, are just so confined and locked into feeling like I can't really be all of who I want to be and still serve God, or I can't be religious, or I'm not going to be as Jewish if I do this or do that. When you have kishronos, you have gifts, you have talents, you have things that God gave you to do, run and go do them. So also being a role model for that as well, not being stuck and being afraid to break out and be who you really are.
Can I tell you, I love it, the way in which you're so familiar with all the Jewish words, languages, from kishronos, chizuk, and geschmack. And you speak the lingo.
Translated talent.
It's awesome.
I'm sorry.
No. I want to know, how hard was that process of you to kind of pick everything up? You learn Gemara, you daven fluently, you said you lead Havdalah, you do everything. How hard was that process from coming from the world you came from to get where you get to? And the reason why I'm asking is because there are people watching this who are traditional Jews who maybe just about might open up a siddur, might not know how to read the prayers, and they've lived their whole life going to synagogues. You come from Seattle, Washington, but yet you've gone so far. Tell me, how did you achieve that? How did you manage to do that?
I think the truth was, it's about will, man. It was a will. Like I always tell people all the time, like the first part of it for me was, I didn't look at it and then go like, wow, this is cool that in Judaism they do X and Y and Z and all that. It was like, I was so far removed from any of that. My first thing was I fell in love with God. I found out God loved the Jewish people. I found out that Israel was important to God. Like that was my, my baby steps of that way. And I got to a place where as I started to grow and I started to learn, I had more of a desire to do more and just to do more and to do more. So I think that was really what drove me.
It's like when there's a will, there's a way.
And when there's a will, way. And then I looked back and said, wow, I seen a video of myself. I have to tell you this. I seen a video of myself a few years back. And that few years back, it was already maybe 12 years before that when the video was taking place. And I was just watching myself talk. I didn't even recognize myself. And I'm praying, I spend a lot of time praying to be better every day. And I'm almost unsatisfied with where I've come already. And I saw that video and I said, wow. It was almost like God was showing me like, look how far you came already. I didn't feel it, didn't notice it. I was just running. It was a fire. I was just running. So I feel like that's the most important part for anybody who's traditional. And I'd say, listen, the most important part is fall in love with God. And when you let that relationship lead you, the things that you're going to accomplish after that, you'll look back and be like, wow, how did I get here? That's so amazing.
Unbelievable. I mean, to live that life of passion, to go through the whole process of conversion, circumcision, Brit Milah, everything, it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal for sure.
To conclude, final question, please can I ask you for a blessing for myself, my family, for everyone watching this, for the Jewish world. Conclude with a blessing to, 2020 has been a very difficult year. We're coming to the end of a secular year that's not been an easy one. And there's a lot of darkness in this world. There's a lot of tragedy. People have bereaved, businesses gone under, people are struggling. And I want you to conclude tonight's inspirational session with some words of chizuk for all of us.
So I give you a blessing, you and your family. Give you, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to translate I'm not going to try to say, I'm going to say it straight. Give you a blessing to have success in everything that you guys are doing and reaching as many people as you possibly can, with positivity and with growth and success. You should have nachas from your children, and you should give Hashem nachas, and to all of Klal Yisrael, just we need each other. In the unity and the achdus is more important than everything else that we could possibly sit up and have disagreements about. And it's so special to Abba, to our Father. And I think that I want to give everybody a blessing too, that at the right time, Bezat Hashem, it should be soon, that everybody should come home to Eretz Yisrael, to live and be comfortable at home here in Eretz Yisrael, Bezat Hashem. That's my bracha.
Nissim Black, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I'd still love to hear you rap something with Rabbi Golker in it. Rabbi G.
Rabbi G 1 2 3. We already got the start. You already gave me Rabbi G 1 2 3.
Okay, when you finish the tune, I'm going to look out for it on Spotify. It's going to be a #1 top hit. But God bless you, Hatzlacha, and thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
All the best.
All the best. Go to.